Hey YouTube friends, I've finally done it. So welcome to part one of my full houseplant tour. I feel so very happy to finally share all of my houseplants with you guys. And I think I've ended up with about 2.5 hours worth of footage. So I am still deciding between 2 longer videos or maybe 3 shorter videos. We're actually 48 hours away from our family holiday. I think we're going for 17 days to Japan. When you're this close to going on a holiday, well, I don't know about you, but certainly for me, it's just that excited chaos stage. I feel semi-organized, but still so many little bits and pieces to do. This video is actually a great distraction for me, I have to say, just not thinking about the holiday for a little bit. My beautiful planty friend Chrissy has volunteered to plant it for me, which I'm just so relieved, because if you watch my video from last week, please don't ever tell him. My pet sitter from last year offered to look after my plants and did drown a few of them. One of them was actually an heirloom plant from my dad, who has now passed, and so Chrissy has kindly offered to plant it for me. When I was going around doing the houseplant video for you guys, I really focused on plant care because I thought, well, that'll be interesting for you guys to see what I do week to week to look after my plants. But also at the end of each section, I've got ChatGPT to create a dot point list of care for Chrissy, as well as an executive summary, of course, because we go room to room. So it ended up being about 4 or 5 pages worth. What you won't see when we're going around looking at my plants is all the prep that I've done prior. So I guess I wanted to share that with you as well, because as you know, my channel is all about trying to give you guys as plenty of tips and tricks as I can. So leading up to the plant tour, what I've done is I have pest controlled like crazy, because remembering here in Southeast Queensland, we are in the middle of summer, the absolute peak of summer. Most of the time, I use a combo of the We the Wild Protect spray and also either putting my plants out in the rain, putting them under the shower or under the hose. And I find the combination of that really keeps most of my pests at bay, which is fantastic, except for those pesky caterpillars that got one of my plants, which you'll see later. I'm also dealing with some mealies on the front patio. I've got rid of the bulk of them, and just every now and again, 1 or 2 pops up, and I do actually use isopropyl alcohol for that. But in general, I've found just being proactive with the We the Wild spray during the warmer months, during the summer and spring months, and then also making sure at a minimum once a month, giving them a good hose, whether that's shower, hose, or rain, in general, really keeps my plants relatively healthy. So I've made sure I've done that to all of my plants. And I've also tried to make it so that Chrissy can water the plants in situ. So any of my plants that I would normally take outside to water, I've made sure I put a little saucer underneath all of those. They're just some background things that I've done that you guys won't see in this video. And just quickly, if we haven't met before, hey, I'm Mel. I'm that crazy self-confessed plant lady who just cannot stop talking about plants. And this channel is all about bringing you along on my planting journey, mistakes and all, as well as giving you a bucket load of tips and tricks along the way so that hopefully you can build your planting collection as well. I am super excited to share part one of my plant tour with you guys. It feels like it has been a long time in the making, and whether I've decided to make it a 2 or 3 part series, I'll make sure all 2 or 3 videos link together really easily for you guys. Let's go and have a look around. So you can see why I call it the propagation room. This is where I keep a lot of my propagations and rescue plants from Plant Club. I've put our dryer in here, which has worked really well. As you can see, given me another horizontal space for the plants, but most importantly, provides some fantastic humidity for them as well, particularly when plants are propagating and in rehab. So I just love this room. And then on the other side, this side is definitely more finished. No propagations here, apart from that little pothos on the windowsill. I sit here to do some of my artwork and to record and edit my videos, and it just always feels super relaxed. It's a fairly small room, about 2.5 by 2.5 meters, with really high ceilings, and it just felt really bare in here until I brought the plants in. Let's start on the finished side of this room, because I haven't really thought about how I'm going to tackle the other side yet. This is a beautiful Adansonii. I just love it. I've only had it for, oh goodness, less than 2 months, I would say, and it's already rooting beautifully. I've just got this growing in hydro. One of my plant besties gave it to me as a propagation, and it's just going so well. Likewise, the micans that's next to it was also one of her little cuttings, and if you've been on this channel for a while, you guys know how I feel about micans. I feel like this has grown significantly since I've got it already. So this is actually a 3D printed pot, that's hard to say, that my neighbor gave me. So I've just set it up as it's got water in the bottom, a little DIY self-watering setup. So I do find that one a little bit harder to look after. I have to physically look at it to make sure that it's got water in it. Sometimes the water does run dry. So because we're talking about care, so any of my plants that are in hydro, Just making sure that the water is topped up. So if you have a look in here, you don't want too much of the stem with the water, just making sure that the roots are nice and covered with the water. I've actually added some nutrient water to that already when I did the last top up. So all that Chrissy will need to do is just top it up with water. There's no need to add any nutrient water. Likewise, my beautiful micans, it's growing so much already. Just making sure that the bottom of the pot, it has access to water. I'm probably needing to top that up about once a week at the moment, but same, I've added nutrient water to it. Chrissy will only need to add water to that. Staying on the same shelf, next to that is my very, very favorite pothos plant that is just made up of a bundle of my propagations over time. Every now and again, I like to consolidate, struggling with words today, consolidate propagations that I've got around the house of like plants. And all I've done is it's just in a mason jar. I think it's a recycled coffee jar, and just making sure that those roots are nice and covered by water, not letting that water drop too low. I'm probably having to top that up also about once a week at the moment. I got this as a propagation as well, and it came with small leaves. I should look this up when I get back from holidays. Do Adamsonii come in all different leaf shapes, or is it maybe that just this one's never had as much light? This Adamsonii that's in the macrame hanger is actually in my DIY self-watering setup. Let's have a look. So that one does need water. I am having to top this up also about once a week, and just making sure that I don't top the water up higher than that second line. It hasn't quite developed those water roots down into the water yet, so I'm always just trying to make sure that the roots don't get too waterlogged. So making sure that's topped up to the second line. Down to the first line is okay, just making sure that it doesn't ever completely dry out. Oh, and how cool is this, guys? This heart, I can't reach it, I'm too short. But I got that from an off shop the other day just for $5. I love adding little accessories in amongst my plants. This whole setup between the hydro plants and the self-watering setup, this is just a super easy little corner. It's hard to tell on camera. There's not a lot of light here. This is a window. It gets the morning, so let me just think. It's an east-facing window, so it actually does get a little bit of morning light, but nothing on this wall at all. So this is a grow light. I just have it reflected up off the wall so that it reflects back on the plants. And this particular group of plants seem to do really well with that amount of light. So getting a little bit of light from the window and also some of that reflected light coming off the wall. They just grow and grow for me here. Then if we switch to the side of the room, so for ChatGPT, we call this drier side. I'm not even sure how to talk you guys through this. I've got just so many little propagations happening. I like to try and keep propagations all in the one place because, like I've said so many times on my channel, I'm definitely all about the aesthetic of plants. And so I found having too many propagations scattered in amongst my plants, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. But you guys tell me, this feels more organized, having the majority of my propagations, I guess, grouped together. I've just got so many in here. Where do I start? So this is actually my white princess philodendron. I've got another one to show you guys outside that's throwing some even more spectacular colored leaves. It's in my self-watering setup. I'm having to top it up about once a week at the moment. Actually, this is how I'll do it. A summary for ChatGPT. So any of my plants that are in my self-watering, my DIY self-watering setup, just making sure that the water is at least at that first line, not ever letting it get dry. And if you do top up the water, making sure that the water is only topped up to the second line so that we're not drowning the plants, but ideally never ever letting them dry out completely. This might be a better way to do it. And then any of my plants that are in hydro, so this is a combination of two. I've got like a more plain green syngonium and then a pink variety syngonium that I got as some clippings. So you can see the leaves aren't as pretty, but they will come back. That was a propagation that I've just recently got. So trying to keep the stems out of the water and just covering the roots as best as possible with water as well. So any of my plants that are in hydro setup, so 100% hydro, covering the roots but leaving the stems out. What else? So what's an anomaly to that? Let me just go and have a look before I talk you through some of the plants. So here is some anomalies. Any of my plants that are not in self-watering, so they're just in a combination of either perlite stratum or my chunky mix, and they're not in self-watering setups, I just make sure that the top sort of few centimeters have dried out slightly before I'm rewatering them. So for any of my plants like these two that are not in my self-watering setup, I either use my finger, so just using my finger to test if the top few centimeters are dry first. But what I find, because I don't know about you, but I don't like sticking my finger all the way down and then getting a whole heap of dirt under my fingernails, I often just like to use bamboo chopsticks and then putting it down into the mix, a bit like when you put a fork or a knife into a cake mix, and then just having a look. That mix there is quite dry. If that was wet, you would actually feel the wet on the end of the bamboo stick, but also often some of the medium sticks to it as well. And also feeling the weight, I can feel that's quite light. And what I've tried to do as we go around and do this plant tour, I'm just making sure that I'm putting sources underneath each of my plants, even when they're not in self-watering setup. So Chrissy doesn't need to take these outside when she's watering. She can just give these a water, let a little bit trickle out into the bottom and know that it's not going to spill anywhere. I don't know about you guys, but when I water, I like to water thoroughly, give plants a really good soak. And I like to make sure that the water is dripping out of the bottom. So as we go around, I'll make sure any of the plants that I've missed, I think I've got them all, but if I don't, we'll make sure that we're adding sources to each of the plants to make it easier for Chrissy. Diesel is following me everywhere. I feel like I can't do anything without Diesel following, so I think he's definitely getting the vibes. And Ninja has been sleeping in the suitcases. We have a pet sitter coming that moves in, but they definitely still don't enjoy when we go away on holidays. Most of these propagations I've either been given as rescues or clippings from people that are doing clean outs. They're plants that I've rescued from Plant Club that won't be able to stand the sun outside of the plant library. All their propagations that people have asked for in Plant Club or friends and family that I'm growing for people. Let's start at the back. So this is a begonia, a cane begonia. I should actually look up the particular species. This one's beautiful. It's flowered for me a few times already. When I got it, the leaves barely had any spots on them, and because it's getting some really nice light at the moment, see, as the new leaves come out, they're getting some beautiful spots on them. So I love this begonia in this location. And then down here, we've got my Ripsalis Propagation for Plant Club. It's just in a combination of my perlite stratum, and it's one of those plants that we just want to chop a little bit of the medium to dry out before re-watering. Being in a clear pot, it's also a lot easier to see if it's got moisture or not. In the back here, I've got a propagation of my Black Rising Star begonia. So in a video previously, I think I was telling you guys, I'm trying to do this by leaf propagation. It'll be interesting when I get back to see if that has worked, because even though they're Rex begonias, I really am having more success. See this one? Doing stem propagations with the Black Rising Stars, which is really strange because usually with the Rex begonias, I have more luck with the leaves. So that will be interesting. So that's a Black Rising Star, Rex begonia, water propagation, and this one down here is the leaf propagation, and it doesn't look too pretty. Can you guys see through? See, there's nothing really happening in there. Often the leaves die back. The original leaves that I put in die back, and then new leaves sprout. So they've gone through that stage of the old leaves have died back, the original leaves, and I'm waiting to see if anything sprouts from that, but I'm not very hopeful. This is Syngonium fantasy that keeps reverting on me. So see, there's a little bit of variegation there. I'm probably just going to grow that out for one of my Plant Club ladies and let them know that it's a reverted Syngonium fantasy. It's just in hydro. These are little milk containers that I get from op shops, usually for $1 or $2 each. I've got them in a number of different colors, and I find them really useful for propagation. This is a plant that I showed you guys many videos ago. It was just going crazy. I love it, and I should identify it. My plant ID apps tell me it's potentially some sort of philodendron. Yeah, I must ID this for you guys. And it was just going crazy. It was probably 3 times this size, and I showed you in a video and said, wow, look how great this is going. And then the whole plant flopped. So I cut it right back to wet sticks, and as you can see, happy to say that it is slowly recovering, but I am holding my breath with this guy. Behind that, we've got some donkey tail or some burro's tail. I've got lots of it on our front patio, and I love it. So this year I'm trying to propagate a bit more to use as filler plants in some of my other plants, and I can see actually, guys, that is, wow, that is so dry. So that little burro's tail definitely needs a water because it's a little bit more succulent-y. With the burro's tail, I do make sure that the medium is much more dried out before I water, but I think that's pushing it just a little bit. I'll just be careful. I can't see any moisture in there at all. What else have we got? We'll go up here. So this is Hoya canosa, also just propagating in water. Can we take it? Yeah, look at those roots. I've only had that in there, oh goodness, I reckon that's about 6 or 8 weeks. I just love how easily Hoya carnosus propagate. And actually, this is one part of my Hoya that actually flowers. So I made sure I didn't cut that peduncle off because I've heard from other planty people to leave that on, and hopefully that will reflower for me. Got another Hoya cutting, another carnosa here that I got from Plant Club. I think it's in self-watering. Oh, it's just got a little bit of water left. I'm looking forward to, do any of these have splash? I'll show you the parent plant in the other room. When it's been close to light, when it's getting enough light, both of these guys get really beautiful splashes on the leaves. What else have we got in here? A zigzag cactus, so a jungle cactus, just love them. Experimenting with light here in a self-watering setup. It's not long moved to this location and it seems to be really liking it. It's growing lots of little bits for me, and I look forward to when it's a really full plant because they can look quite beautiful. In here, love this epipremnum that Chrissy gave me as a cutting. It's having a little bit of a moment actually. It wasn't 100% healthy when I got it, but overall I think it's going okay. Has it got any roots? Look, I don't know if you guys can see that. It's got the tiniest little roots developing in there. So just making sure the stem out of the water and the new little roots, making sure that they're always covered in water. We've got a satin pothos clipping also. It's only in a little container. Those roots starting to need a little bit of water over them, and also another epipremnum, all both together just in the same jar. My fern leaf cactus, oh my goodness, this is my first propagation of my fern leaf cactus. I don't want to pull it out to show you guys, but it's got some really nice roots developing there. Just seeing how that goes in the perlite stratum combination. And behind that, I've got another one of my pink splashy synchroniums. Just love these guys. Also in self-watering and just making sure we're keeping the water in the reservoir up to that second line. I've just swapped over my propagation vessel and the synchronium because I'd only just swapped them over about 2 weeks ago, and I noticed, have a look, the synchronium's just looking on some of the leaves. It just looks like it wasn't happy being that close to the grow lights. I've put it back together in the group of synchroniums. It looks like it might have been a little bit too much light for it. So up here is my very favorite propagation vessel. I love when I've got stuff growing in there. This is just a $12 canister from Kmart filled with what is it, sphagnum moss and perlite. It works beautifully. It's underneath that that grow light, but I decided not to have anything in there while we're away on holiday, so it's empty at the moment. This is a beautiful Hoya that one of my friends gave me as a clipping. I can't wait to see it grow bigger. Also in self-watering, as you can see, and also needs a water. Oh guys, I just love this plant. This was one of my wishlist plants for last year, my monkey tail cactus. It is a little bit smaller than it could have been because I have to say I did take a propagation for a friend who really wanted one for her birthday. And you know, finding a small one that's a reasonable price is not always an easy thing. So I was more than happy to give her a piece for her birthday. It seems to be loving that spot, and next time I do a plant tour, I'm hoping it will have grown even more. Next to that is a fiddle leaf fig propagation. I like to have at least 1 or 2 going at all times. It's just in hydro, so just growing in water, and I find they root up. Oh, actually I won't take that out. The neck's a little bit narrow on that. This guy, oh my goodness, I've been waiting to show you guys. So there's a little bit of a Ripsalis propagation there. It was just a bit that fell out that I put in. But most importantly, I'll bring this down. This is a purple pride Hoya. And see the stick, the dead stick there? That was the original plant that I got. I got it online. It came sick, if you guys remember the Boxing Day sales more than 12 months ago. It doesn't feel dead right down there. So I've got scissors in my pocket. I might cut that back. But it got one brand new leaf on it, which I used to propagate over here. And that's actually what's growing. I can't believe it's probably taken months to get any growth, but this new bit seemed really, really happy, and I can't wait to see it grow more this year. I am delighted because I had almost given up on this plant. Oh, this is actually a little bit of my Snow Queen pothos. This bit had actually tucked itself in under the antique ladder where you'll see the parent plant. It wasn't getting enough light, and yeah, that bit's fully reverted. So I just thought I'd whack it in some water out of interest and see if it gets its color back, or what it does now that it's actually under the nice light here. This is a whole heap of assorted small plants. I'm just trying to make things look as tidy as possible. The concept is self-watering. I've got them in this container and just making sure that line, you know, replicating what I do with my sauces, just making sure I've got a little bit of water in here at all times. Is there anything of interest in here to show you guys? I guess the one I wanted to show you is this one. So this was sold to me as a lipstick plant and I really liked it. I bought it online more than 12 months ago. It was a really big, beautiful plant. It's never been healthy. It came with root rot. This is really the only viable piece that I've got left. I've tried it in all different locations. I've tried it in different mediums. This seems to be happy at the moment, so I've got my fingers crossed that something might eventuate from this. I've got the other little bit here. The stem, the bottom bit of the stem is actually still alive, but you can see the top bit. It's not looking happy. I've only just moved this into a perlite sphagnum combination, and then this is in my chunky mix with the perlite down the bottom. I'll just see how I go with that. I might be about to lose it. I liked it because it reminded me of the Hoya compactor, but wasn't a Hoya compactor. But we haven't had a good journey, and the plant, it keeps getting smaller and smaller, and that is all that I've got left. So what else? So did I show you? I've shown you the white princess. I've got some propagations of some Brazils. It was some cuttings that I got given. More adhdplantmom cuttings in here. After my friend Chrissy, the Syngonium Queen, gave me the advice, I've tried to group as many of my Syngoniums together as I can. Look at this one. This one was on my favorites, but I need to show you guys again. Look at the colors. Love it. Just growing in water. My confetti, the colors are coming out beautifully now that it's in this spot and grouped with others. And then my oxalis. How exciting is this, guys? It just keeps growing and growing. Oh, that needs some water. Yeah, from completely nothing, the leaves are slowly coming back after that disastrous repot. So happy. But that's all my propagations. This spot in my house changes all the time, depending on what I'm growing for people, depending on what I'm rescuing. But just having it all together like this, I guess, feels as organized as you possibly can for propagations. Next, let's have a look in the lounge room. I'm a little bit disappointed because it's the afternoon and we normally get beautiful filtered sunlight coming across here through that window. But unfortunately, there is a big storm on its way. So you guys, unfortunately, won't get to see that light that I talk about in my videos. There's definitely plants in our lounge room, and I think I plan to hang another ripsalis here when we get back from holidays. But in general, I try and be really conscious that my family needs to live here as well. This is probably one of my favorite corners because I can actually have succulents here because the light comes through those louvers. So I just adore most of these are euphorbias of different kinds. For my beautiful plant sitter, these will only need to be watered once, maybe twice while I'm away. I think what I'm going to do is I'll actually take this nice cover pot off and I'll just sit this euphorbia just on the saucer, so we can just pour some water in there without it going on the buffet. So in here, this was in my favorites video, one of the little pots that I showed you. So this is my white ghost euphorbia, $5 at the Brisbane Plant Expo. I just adore this plant so much. In here as well, I've just got another succulent that I really should look up the name of. I just liked it that it was a similar silvery or whitish color, a lot lighter color, so it matches really well with the white ghost. And then right at the back, I've got one of those little thimble cactuses in here as well. So just going with the light color theme in that corner. With all of these succulent sort of plants, putting my finger in the mix, in the soilless chunky mix, or using my old faithful bamboo chopstick, making sure that the mix is pretty much completely dried out before I re-water. When I first started growing euphorbias, I adore them, but I have had many overwatering and root rot incidents with these guys. So I've learned the hard way, really important to let them to dry out before water. This is a very, very new addition. And when I was IDing it as a euphorbia, ChatGPT called it chaos, and I was like, that is absolutely why I love this plant so much. There is just something really fun and chaotic about it. And as my mum and sister would say, what is it with me and ugly plants? But I just adore it. And then if you look up here, this is my African milk tree that I got almost dead on the side of a road at curbside, and it just grows and grows for me. I feel really grateful to have this one beautiful window that gets afternoon light, so I can actually grow some succulents and cacti in a part of my house without needing grow lights. I do spend a lot of time smiling at these plants. And so then moving over to the opposite corner of the lounge room, so the filtered light comes across the wall. It's a lot less harsh by the time we get over to this corner. It still is a little bit bright. There's a lot of my plants that don't like it here, but the collection that I've got, I've learned over time, do really well here. So this is that offshot bath that I absolutely love. I have drilled a drainage hole in the bottom. These guys are in my chunky mix with a nice drainage hole at the bottom. They only need to be watered exactly the same as the euphorbias, just once, maybe every week and a half, and sticking a finger in here and making sure that the soil is pretty much dry before rewatering. So we've got Haworthias. I'm appreciating these a lot more, and some burro's tail or donkey tail in there as well. So they are very, very drought tolerant plants. I'm just trying to think of how my plant sitter is going to water these. This is timber, so I might actually get another one of my black saucers to put under there for her so that she doesn't need to take it outside. Behind that is a snake plant, of course, because I pretty much try and have them in most rooms, and that is actually just growing. I don't know if you guys can see from the label, that is actually just growing in water, so that will just need a top up maybe once while we're away, just with water, making sure those roots are covered. This was one of my very OG plants. My mum got it for me for my birthday, and I've now propagated it a number of times. So it used to be actually much longer, but I found when I was vacuuming, I kept catching it in the vacuum, so I've cut it up into a number of different propagations now. This plant actually flowered for me twice this year, which is really nice. It's the first time it's flowered twice in a year. So that one's a little bit sentimental. And then next to this is not a good story, guys. So this Monstera has lived in this corner for quite a long time. So I put it up on the back patio that you guys can see behind me over Christmas. So it was getting similar light conditions, because this is where we normally put our Christmas tree. But the problem was we get those caterpillars in summer. Before Christmas, look at that leaf. Like, look at the size of it compared to my hand. It's just, wow. So there were so many leaves on this Monstera, it could barely fit in this corner. And I thought after Christmas, it was going to actually have to get planted in our garden under the macadamia nut tree that I'll show you guys later. The caterpillars overnight, there were 6 of them. So I've now got, I think that and the brand new leaf that's just come out are the only 2 full leaves left on this poor plant. The rest of them have just been decimated. Some of them were just not even worth saving. I've had to cut them off. Look at this. Just overnight, guys. I was devastated. This poor plant was so pretty and had done nothing wrong. It was taking up so much room. I couldn't fit the Christmas tree in that corner. And I thought it would be safe on the patio because it wasn't too close to the garden. So I guess the good news is it now can fit back in that corner for a little while it recovers. There were 6 caterpillars on that I could find. I've taken them all off and I've relocated them to our garden. Once I was confident that there was no more left on it, I've used the We the Wild pest spray on it. I've been hosing it, really trying to keep it clear of pests, and it is definitely recovering. It's going to take quite a while to come back to the size that it was, unfortunately. I could not believe 6 caterpillars overnight. Wow. And then up here, this is my favorite Ripsalis. Look at that. This guy loves this spot so much. It has grown so much this year. It makes me smile all the time. It is in self-watering. It's a little bit harder because it's not an easy visual. I've got it in an opaque pot. I really like the look of it. So the way that I tell if this one needs water is I just pick it up and you can tell it's in my DIY chunky mix. And so that's quite heavy, but also, can you guys hear the water dripping? So you can tell that's well and truly topped up. That's how I tell. Every few days I check that and just make sure there's some nice water dripping from the bottom. And every now and again I will get up on a chair, but I find that's a really good way to test if it needs it. And then, do you guys recognize, for anyone who watched my nursery tour, do you guys recognize that? I got myself one of those sun catchers. Can I reach it? Just love this. That was my Christmas present to me. So that's the corner of our lounge room. Oh, I forgot to mention, so the Monstera is in self-watering. So it's in my self-watering setup. So you can see it's in my chunky mix. And then this decorative black pot, it doesn't have a hole in it. It's plastic, so it's quite lightweight. It is absolutely perfect as a self-watering reservoir. There's actually enough of a gap around the container. I just sort of lift it up and have a look in there every few days to make sure that it's got enough water. There's still water down the bottom, but ideally I'd like a little bit more. So it's just sort of once a week I give it a bit of a tip and make sure that there is some water down there in the bottom of the reservoir. I've got a water meter in here. I just got these off. I can't remember if it was AliExpress or Amazon. I have to say, guys, they're okay. I prefer my old chopstick method much more. I find it a bit more accurate because it goes down further into the soil. But that's just my personal opinion. All right, let's go to the other corner of the lounge room. So this is the final corner of the lounge room with the antique ladder. I do have, that is a grow light up there that reflects off the wall and down onto these plants. And once again, there is a storm brewing outside. So normally This is, let me just think of the direction. This is a south facing window. So here in southeast Queensland, I just find that that grow light chops the light up for these guys nicely. This was another antique ladder that I got off Facebook last year, Marketplace, for about $45 or $50. I was so excited. So what have we got up here? We'll start with the top. So we've got my good old school ZZs. Love these guys, so easy to look after. It is in just my chunky mix, my DIY chunky mix, not self-watering. My plants aren't going to look anywhere near as pretty, but I'll take this cover pot away and just put one of those black saucers underneath so it can be watered in situ just while we're away, make it easier. And then of course my micans, one of my pride and joys. Oh my goodness, it just grows and grows. You know what surprises me? It even often grows in here away from the light. I'm often pushing it that way back towards the light. It seems to like growing that way. It's nice and easy. It's in self-watering. You can see it's got a little bit of water there. Needing to top that up about once a week at the moment. Next to it is my Tetrasperma rhaphidophora. That's always a mouthful. And quite lovely up the top. And it's only been in this location probably for about 8 weeks now. And it seems to be quite happy here. It's got some new leaves coming out. But you can see we had a bit of a moment when it was younger, and the stem is quite bare in the middle. So I've got some propagations all down in the bottom. I'm hoping we'll actually bush that middle bit up. But also, have you guys tried that? I must put a photo for you, that cakey paste. They use it for orchids, and some of the ladies at Plant Club have been trying it for other plants. So in some of the node areas, I've added some cakey paste. So I'll be really interested to see if any new sprouts come from some of the bare nodes as well using that cakey paste. So that will be something exciting to check on when I get back from my holidays. Super, super keen to see if that works. Okay, back to the shelf. So we've got another ZZ plant. Love them. It's not in self-watering. I've just put this saucer here so that it can be watered in situ. It's just in my normal chunky mix. I found that ZZs don't appreciate wet feet. I guess I found they really, really don't like self-watering. They prefer to dry out a little bit between waters. Got my fiddle leaf philodendron. Love this guy. Definitely, it's a thirsty plant, so I've got it in self-watering. It's really interesting. When I had this guy in the bedroom, it was getting about the same light as it is now. So I would class this whole area as a more medium light location, even with the grow light on, and if there's actually some light coming through the window. I put this guy out in the back patio near the fiddle leaf, and it just didn't seem to be as happy. It just felt like it might be getting a bit too bright a light on the back patio. So I put it back here, and it just seems much happier in this level of light. I had to move it from its original location in the bedroom because you can see it's getting quite big now, and it just didn't fit where it was. But I'm actually loving how it sort of spills across or spreads across the shelf. I think that's really cool. Over here we've got a satin pothos, just beautiful. It's the same thing, it keeps wanting to grow in away from the light. I just keep turning it around and making sure it's facing the light. Also my self-watering setup, it's not as thirsty actually as a lot of my other plants. So I'm not having to top that up quite as much as some of my others. I think that's it. That goes all the way down here. Trying to hide some of the internet cables down there, as you can see. All right, let's head into another room, guys. Wow, it's just getting darker and darker. I really need to hurry up and get this done for you guys. So this is our dining room buffet without the grow lights. I'll go closer. So these are the clip-on 3-prong grow lights that I have on timers. Without them, there is no way I can grow plants on this table at all. It's probably one of the darkest spots that I grow plants in our house. I definitely do change plants around on this buffet, but this is where we're at the moment. So I've got my angel wing begonia, my dwarf angel wing begonia, whose name I really should look up and stop just calling it a dwarf angel wing. It's in my self-watering setup, so just making sure that it's got some water there in the reservoir. And then over here, I've only just put this here yesterday actually. I'm always looking, I can never quite find a plant that I like in this particular spot, but this will do for now. This is one of the propagations that I got from one of my plant friends. I'll have to use my plant ID app. It's a type of adhdplantmom. I'm just having a complete blank right now as to which type it is. So I'll make sure I'll look it up and put the name on the screen for you guys. But the cool thing about this is this actual pot in the propagation room, I have that reading man that's from a 3D printer. Well, this is actually also from a 3D printer. Another friend who knows I'm a crazy plant lady gave me this for Christmas. How cool is that, guys? It is so detailed. Love it. This adhdplantmom is just in water as well, just like if you're growing it in a glass vessel. The good thing is it's not going to go all green and moldy, but you've got to look down in the top to make sure if it needs water or not. In behind that, we've got my red arrow syngonium that just grows and grows, and I propagated so much. It's in self-watering. Because it's in that cover pot, I often forget to water it. Let's see. Oh no, look, it's got some water. Put all those roots. Oh, and then this is a really big Dracaena that I put into water. It was a massive plant. It was probably about my chest height, and I just ran out of room for it. So it's always sort of lived there. But what I did is I took a propagation, I gave the rest of Plant Club, and look at all the roots. That's in about 6 months. It's amazing. So that's just growing in water, and same as all my other hydro plants, just making sure that the roots are nice and covered. So my plant sitter will only need to top that up with water, but every second or third water with my hydro plants, I'm making sure that I'm adding nutrient water to that, so some hydroponic nutrients. But I've well and truly added that now, and so my plant sitter will not need to worry about that. So that is a snapshot of our buffet for now, because I'm always changing it around. Next, we've got our entry table. You guys are probably so sick of seeing this because I show it to you at Halloween and I show it to you at Christmas. It is definitely my go-to spot to put any festive decorations. You might actually notice I've still got Rudolph in behind us from Christmas. I've ordered another art print to go behind there, and I'm just waiting for it to arrive, and I can't bring myself to have a blank spot. And actually, I think Rudolph's quite cute, so I have left him there. You know, some people say it's bad luck to leave Christmas stuff up, but it's just one picture. If we're looking at care, I guess, of the plants, so I've got my variegated peace lily that started throwing out those half moons and lots of variegation for me. Look at that one, love that. It's in self-watering. I always forget to water this because it's also in a cover pot, but it's actually got lots of water in there at the moment. I must have just done that. It's in that fabric cover pot that I just love. Got a snake plant at the back. That is literally just growing in my chunky, can you guys see that with the camera? Just in my chunky mix. I keep it on a plate just so it doesn't damage the books that it's on. So you can see I've recently watered it. It's a bit wet. So this is how I'll set it up for my plants here as well. So water until the water goes through there, but just stop the water from running over the rest of the table. I've got my philodendron fat boy here that really needs a repot. I apologize to it at the moment every time I walk past it. So it's well and truly outgrowing this tiny little pot. It's also in self-watering. Seems super happy there, but it's not going to be able to live there for much longer. One of my favorite face pots. At the back, I've got a baby African milk tree. So that is a propagation shape from the euphorbia in the corner of our lounge room. They are just super easy to propagate. So that is just in my chunky mix. I love growing things in glass or clear plastic. You can see that it's damp, and I'll wait till that's predominantly dried out until I re-water it. Like I was saying with the parent plant, I have had so many overwatering incidents with euphorbias. I'm very conscious to let them dry out a bit first. And then over here, I decided I liked the spider plant just in water in the back that I put there for Christmas. It can stay. I just took the Christmas sticker off, just making sure that those nice roots, oh, there's a bit of a yellow leaf. Let's pull that one off while we're here. Yeah, keeping the roots nice and covered in water. My peperomia, so I've learnt the hard way. Peperomia actually don't appreciate self-watering pots, and I had a few wet, soggy root moments with these guys. So it is not in self-watering. I don't let the soil dry out, but I let a good few centimeters of soil dry out before I re-water. And it's also in one of my fun face pots. It's got a terracotta saucer underneath. So let it well and truly water all the way through. And then if there's too much water left in the saucer, just tipping that out because it doesn't want to sit in water. But if there's only a little bit, I'll just leave it, that'll dry out. And then I've got this pothos propagation that just grows and grows. It's also in hydro. Look at those roots. So same, just making sure a good amount of those roots are covered with water and not covering too much of the stem. Probably needs a top up about once a week at the moment as well. So that is the entryway. So that's it for my part 1 plant tour of 2026. I hope that you guys have enjoyed hanging out with me and just checking out my plants just as they are, as imperfect as they are. Thank goodness for my beautiful friend Chrissy, who is way more qualified to look after plants than I am. My plants are in very good hands. I can be enjoying my family holiday with my family in a country that I've been wanting to go to for so long. Oh my goodness, I've been practicing my Japanese, guys, although I'm sure I'm going to get over there and probably have stage fright and forget everything. So I'll share some of those stories with you when I get back. However your week is going, I hope you're having a wonderful week. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of this video. And until my next video, take care and remember you've totally got this.